Guys, it is an absolute pleasure to be with you guys once again. I want to welcome you guys to another Owner Finance, Your Way to Freedom, one note at a time. My name is Dan Diaz. I am your host for this evening. Ask Me Anything Monday. It's been a little bit of a routine for us to be here, and I'm excited to be with you guys. If you guys find value in a live presentation answering your questions, I definitely want you guys to share and like and comment. I don't know how the Facebook algorithm works, but I hear that's like super what makes the world go round in the Facebook algorithm. Secondly, if you guys can maybe don't forget we're using StreamYard, so I need for you guys to let us click on the link so that I know where you guys are from. And once you guys do that and you give Facebook permission, I want to hear where you guys are from, what's your market and what's your city, and a quick shout out. We've got Chavel. What's going on, my friend? And of course, Home Key Services with us. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm super excited for you guys. By way of introduction, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dan Diaz. I was born in Mexico City, raised in San Antonio, Texas. I began my real estate investing career in November of 2015. I knew nothing about real estate at the time, but I always considered myself a problem solver and a solution seeker. Austin, Texas, Facebook user. I don't know who you are. You gotta give StreamYard permission to share who you are. Manuel Campa, good to see you. My first deal, guys, generated me $80,000 in upfront profit and a $400 monthly spread for the next 30 years. And guys, I was absolutely hooked. Now I mostly raise private capital to fund owner finance transactions so that they can purchase any home they want off the MLS. I teach seller financing as an acquisitions tool, and we still do try to buy as much single family homes, small commercial lots, land, and other small commercial assets that we can get our hands on. I consider myself an owner finance fanatic and a student of life. On a personal level, I love a good dry red wine, a stiff scotch, a cold beer, good company, international travel. Some of you guys know that my wife and I, the last big international trip we did was to South Africa. We were in Cape Town, and man, we loved it. So we definitely hate that, that we're stuck here now, but we definitely miss that. Why was this group created? I believe that as the financial markets change, our survival is going to depend on our ability to swim these tumultuous seas and really bring forth value to the market. Moving forward, I believe that acquiring properties with seller financing will be paramount to growing our portfolio and yours as well. I'm a firm believer that seller financing is an absolute tool that can allow you to actually buy real estate. A lot of you guys that are listening and in this group, you're in the wholesaling field, you're very active, but you might not necessarily know how to actually buy real estate. And that's the reason why I want you guys to be here. You can actually buy real estate. Chavel says, after watching your course, I have a new appreciation for livecom.com. I had it before and didn't know how to properly use it. Now I know its value. If you guys don't know, livecom.com, Mitch Stevens, by the way, does not pay me a dime for all the promotion I give him, but it's okay. He's a good friend of mine. Livecom.com is a great website that allows you to use marketing loops and then mass text those people. Go back to the videos. I talk a lot about it, and I'm super excited to be here. What can you guys expect to get out of the group? I've made a personal commitment to use this platform to share our experience, our tools, and our skills to help you sharpen your creative financial acquisition teeth. I want to make sharks out of you guys. I want you guys to be able to devour the opportunities that you have in your own markets and to become sharks. One of the tools that I'm using to make that happen is to create a community of individuals that are very, very savvy in this world of owner financing, seller financing, note origination, and I'm putting those tools at your disposal. One of those is going to be available tonight. I want to give you guys a glimpse, but we've got some, I'm going to call him a great white shark because of the impetus and the support that he's providing to the note world. Couple of people that are active in the owner of finance world that I want to give credit to, because these are people that I do business with, as well as individuals that if they comment in the group, I want you guys to listen to them. Those individuals are Haroldo Villarreal, Charles Hernandez, Zach Hoppinger, Ricardo Rosales, Aaron Sams, RJ Bates III, Robert Ivara, Dan Satovsky, Justin Flowers, Jeff Falali, Manuel Cerillo Jr., Srigan, Ray Pantak, and Ryan Nichols. Again, these are individuals that many of them are close friends of mine. We've done business together. We've spent a lot of time together, masterminding and connecting. And when these folks kind of comment, definitely pay attention to them. What do I expect from you guys? There's expectations for you guys as well. The group is currently 2,432. I'm very excited to have you guys, but I expect you guys to be sharks in your markets. Now, to me, sharks, it's not just another buzzword. It's not just another thing I throw out there. To me, sharks is somebody that pledges to S, succeed mercilessly. H, hates mediocrity. A, accepts no excuses. R, resolves to be action takers. K, kills their bad habits. And S, shares what they learn here. So guys, once again, if you guys see value in the group, in the information, in the education, please, my personal goal is to get this group to 10,000 individuals, not because 10,000 fluff people are going to be here, but because this is my goal, to be able to help as many people as possible. And I can't do this without you guys. I absolutely cannot do this. So anyways, without further ado, I do want to bring on to the main screen two special guests today. We've got Rick Allen. He is co-founder of Paperstac. Remember that website that I keep telling you guys, hey, if you guys want to sell some of your notes, go to Paperstac. Like, we got one of the co-founders here with us, and I'm super excited over that. By way of introduction, for over 10 years, Rick Allen has been an active investor as the co-founder and fund manager of MWM Fund and co-founder of Paperstac. He has conducted transactions with large A-list institutions. He has experience in investment strategies in the real estate sector with a primary focus on discounted acquisitions and distressed assets. He has participated in the purchase of over 400 single-family homes with a total market value of $45 million. This is not someone that is starting out. He's very, very well versed. We also have with us Brett Burke, and he serves as the marketing arm for Paperstac. He started his internet marketing career in 2003 and has been primarily involved with SEO and paid search marketing since. So without further ado, guys, I want to go ahead and bring these folks on to the stage. How are you guys doing? Rick, Brett, it's an absolute pleasure to have you guys. I did a small introduction, but I really want you guys to tell the group and share with you guys what it is that you guys do, what does Paperstac have to offer, and what do we need to know about you guys. So stage all yours.
Dan, thank you so much. Can you hear us?
I can.
Perfect. Yeah, I appreciate it. That's such a great introduction. I've been investing, as you said, in the discounted space for, I guess, really the past 15 years. And with a focus in notes for the past 10. I started out like a lot of your people in the group. I started out as a wholesaler and opened up my own wholesale shop in 2008, and kind of just took wings from there. But we started Paperstac as a reason to help people get into the space, and that was the biggest thing. It was the Wild West. Brett, it's funny you say Brett is part of the marketing arm. He is so much more than that. Brett wears so many hats: business development, customer outreach, customer support. So, and Brett's also a co-founder. So I want to make sure that Brett definitely gets his due praise.
If that's the case, Rick, I have to add one more compliment to Brett, and that is humility. Because nowhere did he tell me he helped found the company. So kudos to you. Definitely a keeper.
Thank you.
Yeah, he definitely did. Humility is one of his things, and he does a lot of he'll do some of the grunt work that I just sometimes can't do. And so Brett, we wouldn't be where we are today without Brett. So definitely he needs his kudos. But thank you for having us on. We're really excited to be here. Paperstac at its core it's a place for people to buy and sell notes and do it in a transparent fashion. We got into the industry, or I did, right in 2011, 12. And the first note I bought was here in Orlando, Florida. It was a frame duplex, and we paid $8,400 for $90,000 in debt on a frame duplex, and wound up getting the house back via deed in lieu of foreclosure. Sold it for $38,000 and did everything in like 14 days. And so we were like, "Wow, that was great. Let's do it again." And so that's kind of how I sort of got started in it. And after investing our own capital for, say, 12, 13 months, we went and got some education, put together, a spreadsheet of our successes and failures, and went and showed somebody. And it was the craziest thing. They go, "Look, I'll give you $1 million. Do you want it all right now to go invest with?" And fortunately, we had the mindset of like, "No, let's hold off. We need to put some infrastructure in place before you give us $1 million." And we did that and just started buying notes, and then eventually decided we were going to go really legit and not just do friends and family, but put together an SEC fund or something that we would, could really go out and raise some capital. So we came up with the Money with Meaning Fund. Another co-founder of mine, Terrence Osterman, he's managing that primarily right now. But it's the fund is structured around saving people's homes, and it's a mission-based fund. And the great thing about it is we set our minimum investment super low. It's $200 for somebody to invest, and you can invest one time, or you can invest, monthly, quarterly, whatever you want. But we want, our mentality behind it was we wanted to make a fund that, look, the same people's houses that we were saving could invest right alongside of us, because up until just recently, until really the Jobs Act, you would have to be an accredited investor to invest in a fund. And so this makes it to where we can take non-accredited investors. We do have accredited investors in the fund, I'll say that. But that's super important to know, is that, look, you can be part of this fund and not necessarily just have to be an accredited investor. And naturally, the fund buys and sells non-performing and performing debt, which everything goes right onto Paperstac. So it's when we go to sell it, we list it on Paperstac. We buy from Paperstac. We're one of Paperstac's best customers.
I imagine, yeah. So that seems to be a nice vertical integration of the business.
Oh, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, whenever we were building it, we looked at it as it was a way to scratch our own itch. Isn't that how it normally is when you develop something? You're like, look, we need a way to liquidate these assets, and also we wanted a way to make it transparent and easy for people. Our one of our first bigger trades was like $250,000 we had out, which looking back now is not a lot, but it was a lot of money at the time for us, and it was so convoluted. We thought we were going to lose our money because of inspection periods and all kinds of stuff. When we actually got our collateral file, the only thing that was original was a lost note affidavit. And so it was just, at that point, we're like, look, we have to make something that incorporates escrow, collateral audit, transparency, to make it to where people can come into the space and really help grow the space and let it thrive. So that's one of the things that started Paperstac, and it really has taken on a life of its own. People have come in here and, kind of bouncing back on Brett, the customer service that people get, and Brett has a big part to do with that, is really what makes it go. We have such a focus on, look, let's bend over backwards to give everybody the best experience. And it's tough to find out there people who have issues with Paperstac, which is just kudos to, the team we have.
Yeah. I have yet to find a negative review. And I'm just saying that. And I'll be honest, Rick, we've never sold any of our, well, no, I take it back. I think we did sell 2 or 3 notes, but we don't sell our paper. I tell people it's a lot of work to originate my paper. I'm keeping it. You know, and we originate our paper with long-term debt as well. You know, so we raise private capital, but it's long-term debt, so we don't necessarily, you know, have to recycle it. But I have yet to find anyone to tell me anything negative about Paperstac. Customer service is one of the things that I hear really good. The second thing that I hear really good, just feedback, and I don't know if it's the market, or I don't know if it's you guys, or I don't know what it is, but I've heard some really great things about the percentage that the paper is being purchased at. A lot of people, when they get approached by other note investors, you know, they're talking about 70% of UPB, 65% of UPB, 80% of UPB. And I think our notes, I mean, I can tell you our notes were bought like at 90, 93% maybe of UPB. They were good paper. You know, but we've seen 90, I've heard other students tell me 95, 96. So is that the ecosystem of Paperstac, or is that market conditions, or what would you say that is? Because that's really good for owner finance investors.
That's great. And it all boils down to, if you're an owner finance investor and you're putting something out on the market, you know, I went through an educator who you may or may, I'm sure you know, Eddie Speed, and Note School. And one of the things, you know, he knows Mitch Stevens, as I got in, you know, I was on Mitch Stevens' podcast, I guess last year sometime. Really great podcast. But one of the things that everybody says, and it's one of the things that I was taught, was like, look, when you're getting into the space, you can't bake a cake twice. And so when you're originating owner finance paper, you have to make sure you do it right the first time. And if you originate good paper up front, when people come to run their due diligence and they look at it and they see, you know, this looks, smells, tastes, feels just like institutional paper, something that may have been originated by a bank, if they can't tell the difference, it's just going to trade for a higher number. I think that's one thing. And then I think the second key thing is like we have a market. We have 7,000 registered, over 7,000 registered users. When you have that many users, like, the market is the market. That's gonna dictate what you're gonna get, and that's the great thing about Paperstac, is it really levels the playing field to where you can have somebody send you out a flyer in the mail saying, "Look, I want to buy your note," and you're getting one offer. You can put it on Paperstac, and you're gonna get a bunch of offers. You're gonna have it in front of 7,000 different users, and so that way you're gonna get what the market will bear.
Yeah, that's very good. So I've got a couple of questions, and I know I didn't necessarily pass them through earlier, so I hope you're okay with them. But again, I want to educate the group as to what are some of the things that they can do to improve the quality of their paper. So one of the questions that the group kind of asked is, what are the services that you provide to lenders and note buyers that they need to be aware of?
The services that we provide. First of all, we handle, obviously we have a marketplace, so it's free to list. You don't pay unless you sell your asset or you buy an asset. That's one thing. So get the ability to have your note marketed to a large audience is one thing. And we have institutional buyers coming in there now. People that are managing $50, $100 million funds are both selling and buying off the platform, which is great. The second thing we do is we handle the transaction front to back and provide the options for escrow, for audit, all baked in. We have a kind of a standardized sales contract that we generate. You don't have to use it, but I'd say 99% of the transactions use our sales contract. We generate assignments, allonges. We maintain digital audit trails, which is so important. Something you don't even think about as a benefit, but until you need it and you wind up in a lawsuit or something like that, that everything that happens, if you keep all your communication on the timeline, it can be email, responding to something in email will go onto the timeline. If you message, it'll be on the timeline. You can even make a phone call through our platform. It records it, transcribes it, and puts everything on your timeline. So everything is there, and it's siloed off in a walled garden. So you always know I don't have to go searching through my inbox. Because I don't know about your inbox, but my inbox is out of control. It is out of control.
It is.
I was just talking to my other partner TJ today, and it's really tough when you're searching for something and you're doing, you get to it in this business where you do multiple transactions with the same people, and they start referring to a different transaction in the wrong email thread, and things just get lost, right? And so
it happens to me and this is a personal thing. Every week or maybe every 10 days, I just start a new email thread. And I tell everyone, new email thread related to this subject. But this is the new email thread. You have to.
Yeah. Well, the great thing about Paperstac is it's all in a walled garden. So it's all right there. You don't have to worry about, okay, who responded where, which email. Everything happens right there. So that's something else we provide. The transparency, the security, the ability to do business with somebody that you've never done business with before. We've had, people that were featured in, I think it was the Wall Street Journal or some major publication, and they were selling an asset on Paperstac to somebody who had never bought a loan before. And we were able to, Paperstac was a conduit, and it allowed that first-time buyer to do business with somebody who had been in the business for 20 years. And so it levels the playing field. It makes it so you can get from point A to point Z, not miss a step in between. And so I would say that's the big stuff that we provide to the note buyers and sellers. There's some ancillary stuff that you'll get along the way. Like if you pick up the phone or you reach out to chat and you say, hey, I need somebody to help me get something recorded, or I need some curative work on some of my paperwork. What do I do? We have people that we can direct you to. And so you're tapping into not just our, our process, you're tapping into our ecosystem.
That's very nice. For somebody who is wanting to originate quality paper that will get paid the most. Mm-hmm. And I know it's always a question of we don't know what the future holds and we don't know what the market will pay. But from your experience, what are some of the things that someone can do to try and ensure that their paper, like you said, you can't bake the cake twice. I like that. Will be top quality.
Origination docs are one. Make sure that you've got a quality origination package. All the disclosures. Use an RMLO to go ahead and originate your paperwork. That is like top. I try to make it look just like what would the bank do. Now you can have different underwriting guidelines in a bank, but you can make sure that you have all the paperwork that a bank, and any good RMLO, I'm sure you have people you would recommend. They're out there that they'll go ahead and make sure that your paper looks, smells, tastes, feels just like institutional paper. Something else I would do, look, an 8% interest rate is going to sell better than a 3% interest rate. That's just, the market's going to tell me that one. That's an easy one. So, I've seen some that are 0% interest rates that come across, and they're asking why they're not getting. I'm like, well, you wrote a 0% interest rate. So, you didn't do yourself any favors there. So, I'm not saying go out and gouge people for 14%. There's fix and flip loans like that all day long, but put in a healthy interest rate that's going to mirror the risk on there. And then the last thing I would do is I would say I always try to get 10% down on the paper. I've seen some people originate paper with like $200 down, and that stuff just ends up blowing up. It doesn't turn out to be good. So, we were working with a group that was helping us with our REOs, and they were like, well, we normally ask for $500,000 down. And I was like, well, this is an $80,000 house. I want $8,000 down. And they're like, you're not going to get anybody. And I had 4 people lined up to put down $8,000. And look, there's some people that are going to have $8, $10, $12, $15, $20,000. And for one reason or another, they're not bankable. And you would be surprised that the people that can't qualify for loans that are not bankable. As a matter of fact, there was one guy, we ended up buying a owner finance house. It was like $45,000. The guy put down $4,500, and I started going through the origination docs, and the guy made like $300,000 a year. And just because somebody did some owner financing doesn't mean that they weren't bankable. It means they didn't feel like going to the bank. Mm-hmm. Feels like, you know, and so that guy had that loan for I think 6 months after we purchased it, and he wound up cashing out and found out he was just doing something to help his son out, get him on his feet, and then ended up just paying the loan off. So there's a lot of things out there, but definitely, you know, big down payments, a good interest rate, and then origination docs.
I like that. And it's very true what you say. So our model of owner financing is a little bit different. Most owner finance investors will purchase the asset, fix it up, or don't fix it up, whatever, and you know, owner finance it. Our model is a little bit different. We start with buyers that are high risk, non-lendable buyers from an institutional perspective. 85% of our buyers are simply just self-employed folks that don't have the 2 years of tax returns, but otherwise have credit. 65% of our buyers don't have a social security number yet. They only have an ITIN. So we give them an approval just like Wells Fargo would, and then we let them find a house, and we buy the house and owner finance it to them. So that's kind of our model. But our average price point is about $320,000 right now. Our average down payment is about 60, it's a little over 20%, $65,000. So there is tons of mattress money in this world. And I think that's one of the things that individuals that are getting into the owner finance world don't realize. They'll never put $60,000 down because they're bankable and they can get an FHA loan at 3.5% down. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of people who have a lot of money. My first deal ever in real estate, mobile home on 10 acres, Elmendorf, Texas. You should never be buying in Elmendorf, Texas, by the way. $250,000 deal, $100,000 down.
There you go.
And we ended up netting 80 because we negotiated that we would build up her road. So we spent like 20 grand on that, but out of her down payment. I mean, literally her down payment was $100,000. And there is a ton of mattress money. But it's real smart what you say about the interest rate, because I didn't know anything about origination at the time. We were at the attorney's office, and you're going to laugh, Rick. We were at the attorney's office, and the attorney says, okay, awesome. What's the interest rate? I was like, I don't know. Well, did you talk about an interest rate? No. Is that something I should be talking about? It's like, well, yeah. And I see Brett laughing. No, I did not do 0% interest rate. But he said, well, did you come up with a payment? Like, what am I working with? Did you come up with a payment? I said, yeah, $400. I bought it subject to. So I said, yeah, $400 more than the payment that's going out. And he's like, okay, let's just do the math. Let's figure out what the interest rate is.
Back into it. There you go.
Back into it.
What did it wind up being?
You're gonna laugh, because I'm just gonna tell you right now that I'm married into that deal. I'm just saying that I'm married into it. So the person I took the deal subject to had great credit. They had their underlying mortgage at about 3.25%. And me wanting $400 more per month, we did the math, and I ended up owner financing a mobile home at 6%. And I thought I was happy, because I'm like, $400 more per month. What can be wrong about this?
Nothing. You know what?
Not with a $100,000 down payment.
You made 80 grand up front. You're just like, whatever. I mean, 6%. Yeah, that's fine. I can buy a lot of mobile homes with that.
And I remember he looked at me and he's like, well, it looks like it's like 6.1%. Are you okay with that? I'm like, sure. Is that okay? He's like, it's your deal, bro. I mean, I'm just doing the math for you. I'm like, yeah, I mean, seems legit. I didn't know anything about what I was doing.
No, you were like, she's giving me
But
$100,000.
and
That's
$400 a month per month, more per month.
yeah. So you're
And no, and mind you, Rick, her whole deal was it's a funny story because her whole deal was you're never going to make me refinance, right? And we did all the disclosures. We told her about that it was subject to that there was a due on sale clause, blah 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 blah. But I said I will never ask you to refinance. That's correct. I will never ask you to refinance. And we started talking. I'm like, why is that such a big deal for you? Her story was that she was running away from an abusive boyfriend out of state. I
Mhm.
think she killed the dude. I really
Yeah.
do. Like, I think she's like running away from the law. I don't know. I did do a background check, and there's no warrants for her, or anything. But just her story was, she didn't want
Where
anything
is
on
this in Texas?
Elmendorf, Texas.
What? Tell me about Elmendorf. Is it
There's nothing you ever need to know about it. It's a small
tumbleweeds and
town. Yeah. It's redneck, white trash, hillbilly, squirrel shooting, deer hunting, hick. I mean, it's a
yeah,
little town outside San Antonio, Texas. Um, Maybe population like 5,000. All
wow,
mobile homes. Nothing wrong with mobile homes. I'm a big fan of mobile manufactured homes, but there's just nothing
yeah.
nothing
Are
out
you
there.
in Texas?
San Antonio.
San Antonio. Okay, so that makes sense. That's how
Yeah,
you would
and we
stumble
only
into
do
it.
we only do business in San Antonio, Austin, DFW, Houston,
Okay.
in San Antonio, but all over Texas. I like Texas paper. I can foreclose your butt in 41 days if I really want
Yep.
to.
I was looking last year. That's the state that ended up coming out with the most notes sold was Texas.
I
Texas
believe.
papers. Yeah, Texas papers quality. A lot of land contracts come out of there. Um, it's and it sells. I was actually talking to my wife this past weekend, and I said, we may if we're going to move, we're moving to Texas. So we considered Texas as the place to go. So
It's the greatest country in the world.
I heard you guys are putting up a bill that you can succeed.
So man, I'm not gonna get into it. So there is a legal way for Texas to secede. It's built into the Constitution.
Yeah, your Constitution has it.
It would be totally retarded, I think, if it ever did, because I mean, you've got the U.S. up north as your deadly enemy, and then you got
Yeah,
Mexico, so you're kind of sandwiched in between. But I remember when I was in high school, I read that if Texas economy by itself would still be the seventh largest economy in the world.
yeah.
We got access to water, we got gold, we got oil.
You got a
Um,
port. Yeah, I mean, you guys are
got access
set.
to
So
water. Yeah, for sure.
we,
Um,
I was talking to somebody today, and they go, "Would you ever consider relocating Paperstac to Texas?" I'm like, I mean, nothing really stopping us.
you guys are
It,
in Florida right now, right?
yeah, we're in Orlando, Florida, so that's where we're based out of, right downtown. Um, but we're, mostly a remote company that we can operate because it's an online platform. So
Mhm.
we can operate from pretty much anywhere, wherever we want to call headquarters.
Yeah. We've had a lot of activity. The only fear I have, and I shouldn't get political, but the only fear that I have is the mass exodus of Californians that are.
California, yeah,
It's
Austin's
like
getting hammered.
you wrecked your state. Don't turn us blue. Like there's a reason you came here. Like,
Yeah,
don't mess with it.
yeah. I figured that's what you were about to say. I agree, but um, anyways, yeah. Thank you for having us on. Anything else on the paper stack topic or?
No. So what I want to do now, and I'd love for you guys to stay. I went ahead and picked out a few questions from the group, and I'd love to get you guys your feedback. We do that every Monday. We've got a question from Mr. Baskar. He's one of my students. He's got a question. What does an attorney typically charge for closing on owner finance transactions? And a separate question, do they provide title insurance? I went ahead and tagged Bhaskar, I tagged Alan Chesker, and I tagged Scott Horn. I don't know if you guys know them, but they're big real estate attorneys here in Texas. Each of them, I think they're like $1,300, $1,500 to do all your documents.
Yep.
Alan does have a title company, so he will provide title insurance, which I highly recommend. And I'm sure that Rick will highly recommend you get title insurance as well to make your, your paper pretty. And Scott, I don't believe he has title insurance, but he will do a title search. Are those about the prices that you guys see elsewhere?
Yeah, $1,500 is right there, and that's for the paperwork. Title insurance policies is definitely, you want to have that, a lender's policy, especially when you go to resell it. Most attorneys don't have those in-house. If there is an attorney that does it, that's great. It's probably going to cost you a little extra then on top of that for a lender's policy, but that falls right in line with what I see as somebody else. I must have read something on this, but I saw this exact question today on Facebook, and somebody responded to it, and it was same thing, right at that $1,500.
Yeah, I don't know if it was.
And they were in Texas. It may have been. I don't know. It may have been yours or it was another group. I don't know, but it was that was the exact question.
Very cool. Mr. Thomas has a question. He says, how long does it take? Oh, no, actually, this one's for you. How long does it take the process to begin and end at Paperstac? Actually, that was for you.
Great. That's a great question. So I can go a couple things. One is basically from the time you list it. It just depends on how many bids you get. But pretty much once something goes into closing, which means you and your counterparty have agreed on a price, you've gone through the due diligence, and it's like, look, let's sign the paperwork and go. It's usually around 14 days, sometimes less. We've had them go through in 2 days if you're not using any sort of, actually 1 day, if they're not doing escrow or audit, they're just doing all the paperwork right there. We can do it in, I don't know, an hour or two. We can close it. But if you're doing escrow audit, figure it'll take you a couple of days, or probably 14 days at the most.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, our experience is about 14 days. That's That's about as par with everyone else. Got a question from Thomas, and when lenders sell their notes, does it directly affect an owner finance deal or terms? So I reached out and I got a little bit more explanation. What he wanted to know is, when a loan is sold, does it change at all the terms or the conditions to the final owner finance buyer?
No.
I know the answer, but I'll let you answer this one.
Definitely not. The terms, whenever somebody sells a house subject to owner financing, or with owner financing, the terms that are signed on the line, which is dotted, in the note, the mortgage, those terms they're baked in concrete. And the only way that would change is if the borrower fell behind, or the borrower and the lender agreed to do some sort of loan modification. And then that would be inked in paper, notarized, and recorded as well.
Yeah, I got a question the other day from an agent or a broker. She wanted to know if we sold our paper, and in a very polite way, I was like, "Well, what do you care?" I mean, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Well, we do reserve the right to sell our paper, but if you're concerned about the expired, it doesn't change anything for them.
Mm-mm.
Really? If a new lender gets it, they can't change. It's like, no, that's what it's for.
Yeah, no.
Changing terms, for sure. We've got Austin. He says he's doing a deal where he's purchasing with seller financing. I love Austin. He does some really good deals. He's really learned. Who receives the total monthly payment, and then who manages the payments of the taxes, etc.? And who cuts her, the seller, the remainder? How does the structure work typically? You want to talk about third-party note servicing?
Absolutely. I am when we got into the business, we did not use a third-party note servicer. for our first couple of deals for nothing better than lack of education. And now I'll never own a loan and not use a third-party servicer. So there's a whole bunch of them out there. SN, FCI, Allied, Madison. I mean, we can go on. There's a bunch of the small boutique servicers that cater specifically to the small one-off investor, and they'll do everything for you. Now, their services vary from one servicer to the next. Some have a lot of strength in non-performing debt, so they're more of a hands-on managing the non-performing stuff. But for the performing owner finance stuff, your servicer will take in your payments. If your loan's escrowed for taxes and insurance, they'll pay the taxes, the insurance, and then cut you the difference. They'll cut you your principal and interest payment. And usually it's pretty cheap, ranging anywhere from $15 to $25. Some of the higher end ones are $30. But $15, $20 is well worth it because they keep you in compliance. They do all the accounting. They send out all the letters and the invoices and the statements and everything like that. So I couldn't stress enough that you should use a professional servicer.
Yeah, and there's a lot of legal liability that can fall on you if you don't, you do your accounting right and make sure that everything is credited correctly for sure. That's one of the things I tell my students is like, listen, it's a $15 an hour job, and you do not need to be doing $15 an hour jobs. You need someone else to do it for you. So for sure. We've got Mr. Derek, another escrow-related question. When I do a seller finance purchase, what needs to be collected at closing in regards to escrow, taxes, and insurance? What's your feedback on this, Mr. Rick?
So my feedback is I try to collect as much as possible up front. So
I'm going to collect 10 years worth of insurance.
I'll definitely try to collect a year's worth of insurance and say, look, we're going to, or 6 months, a 6-month policy, get it going. But I like, if you buy a house with financing from, the bank, they're going to say, look, you need to have your year's policy in place. Yep. And I'll do that. And then we'll try to load the account up front with, with some taxes. So that money, when it's time to pay the taxes, the servicer doesn't have to scramble around. There's no shortage and we can keep on, moving forward. So yeah. I try to collect definitely the prorated portion of the taxes and then a 1-year premium on insurance.
We do 1 year on insurance as well. The prorated amount. We tack on 3 months as well, estimated on the taxes up front.
Yeah, but that's about right.
You wanna be on top of it, that's kind of what they're for. We've got another question that's got to do more with you on the Paperstac side of things. I wasn't able to write it down, but John wants to know, excuse me, what are some of the major pitfalls to avoid when it comes to originating contracts for deed? Now, this may not be Texas, just because Texas is not super fond of contracts for deed. Right. But what's your experience on that?
Pitfalls
contracts for deed.
Pitfalls to avoid. And I should probably say, look, I'm not an attorney, so you should definitely go talk to an attorney with any of that stuff.
This is all for entertainment purposes only.
Yep, that stuff. Contract for deed it's going to fall a little bit in line with the owner finance, like origination stuff. I would take down a little bit of payment up front. Don't not take it down just because it's a contract for deed. Don't trick yourself into thinking that because it's a contract for deed that you can just do a cancellation of contract. Because there's some states out there where people are of the mindset like, oh, I did a contract for deed, I don't have to go through foreclosure. That's not the case. It's like I think Illinois is one of them. If you're in Illinois, they're going to make you follow the same guidelines as a foreclosure. So that's not 41 days. That's not something quick. There's definitely going to be a 2 or a 3 in front of the number of days, and there's three digits there if you're lucky. So it's, 200, 300, 400 days. I could tell you, since COVID started, I had one that was supposed to close it was supposed to go to sale in March of 20. And we still don't have a sale date. So that's something that's real. And then if you're doing a contract for deed, make sure you're don't just do a contract off of, online or something like that. Get an attorney, draw up the paperwork, let them handle it, because there's little things in there like getting the right legal description, getting the right parcel number, having, a title policy pulled to make sure you've got clean title and you can originate something. There's not clouded title. So it's just, follow those steps of let a professional originate the paperwork for you. So that way, moving forward, spend a little more money up front and it'll save you a little more money on the back end, a lot more money on the back end.
I had a wholesaler come up to me and he's got a lot of zeal. I mean, he's got a lot of energy, and he calls me and he says, "Hey, can I borrow your paperwork to do an owner finance deal?" I said, "Do you mean the contract? I'm happy to give you the contract. We use just track 1 to 4 the seller finance addendum. So, there's nothing, mysterious about it." But he says, no, like the warranty deeds and the promissory notes. And, I know you do a lot of those. Like, can I just borrow one of yours? And I'm like, no, why don't you close with an attorney? And he says, oh, I they charge a lot of money. And I'm like, well, first of all, they don't. Second of all, it's totally to your benefit. And he says, you still close with an attorney? I'm like, yeah. As a matter of fact, every single one of them. And I told him, and I think, Rick, you'll agree with me. I'm like, look, this is the thing. If I am ever, God forbid, knock on wood, in front of a judge, and I have to defend my position, which my position is always 100% defensible, but if I have to defend my position, I want at the very bottom there to say, drafted by XYZ attorney at law. That little stamp is worth the $1,500, because now I have someone to point fingers at. I'm still fully responsible, but I want to be able to point fingers at other people. How are you going to look in front of a judge? And they ask you, who prepared this document? I did. It's like, what the hell, bro? Super important. Well, that kind of concludes the questions that I kind of picked out, from the group. I always like to conclude with words of encouragement for someone who may be starting out in the owner finance world. What would be a tip that you can share, or something that you'd like to give to the audience in regards to how they can expand their business?
Oh, I would say educate yourself up front. Learn as much as you can up front, because that will pay you dividends. And it's not just reading a book and that's it. You've educated yourself. It's tuning into a podcast like this or a Facebook Live. It's picking out, the podcast where you can sit and listen, and you're just looking for the golden one little nugget per episode that you can kind of tuck away and just continually learning. I'm continually learning today. I never stop trying to learn new ways to create better systems. It's always, don't get hung up on, there's a difference between form and function, right? Function, it's supposed to do something. Don't get caught up on the form of the specific contract or something like that. Constantly focusing on what is this function, and like Elon Musk talks a lot about it. Reduce it down to its basic principle. What's the function? What does it try to do? And if you start working from there, you can figure things out. The owner finance world is a great space. It's an unbelievable space to make a lot of money. And so if you just put yourself in the right positions, you're in the business, you're talking to people, don't get discouraged. Your first deal will happen. By just working the business, the deal will happen. But you got to be educating yourself and staying engaged with the business, and being consistent is the key.
Yeah, I would agree. Something that I wanted to kind of share with the group is don't be afraid to shoot your shots. One of my students posted today that he just purchased a home, 0 down, 0% interest, 15-year amortization, no balloons, no prepayment penalty, and the house is not a dump. Like it needs like minimal repairs. And I was talking to him privately, and I asked him, how did you do it? And he said, I just asked. I said, hey, the only way I can do that purchase price is if you let me pay over the next 15 years. And I smiled at him, and I told him, you just created pretty worthless paper for them. And he says, I know, but I'm going to pay. And he says, and if they ever want to cash out, come to me. I will happily cash them out at a discount.
Yeah.
And, that's something super cool. What can we do for you? What can I do for you? I'm super appreciative that you, spend some time with us. What can we do for you to help you grow your business or support you? I always want to know that.
The first thing is that Brett and I would love to have you on we have a podcast, the Paperstac podcast. We would love to have you on just to share your experience with our audience. Sure. I think that's always great if we can always help each other like that. And then, if there's ever any time that you need us to come in and give you our advice or anything like that, we're happy to come back on and talk with you. It's been, keep building up the seller finance space because you need good ambassadors, and that's definitely what you are, is a good ambassador for the space.
Sure. Do me a favor, and if someone wants to get a hold of you guys, what's the quickest, easiest way, business-wise, that they get a hold of you guys?
You can reach me, Rick at Paperstac.com or Brett at Paperstac.com.
Perfect.
That's email.
Perfect. Awesome. We'll do that. Thank you so much for being on the show. We're going to do one last round of question and answers. This has nothing to do with real estate or notes, but it's a little thing that I like to do. And I'd love to hear from Brett as well. He's been super quiet, so if you want to unmute yourself.
Rick's the one with all the knowledge.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Brett, chocolate or vanilla?
Oh, chocolate. Definitely chocolate.
Oh, you guys. Okay. Sports cars or lifted trucks?
It's a tough one. I'd probably go with the lifted truck.
Yeah, I'm a lifted truck guy. I hunt, and I have 3 kids. So the amount of stuff that I have to pull between softball, baseball and I have a camper. So yeah, lifted truck.
We just bought a 30 bumper pool.
Oh, cool, nice. Man. That's so much fun, isn't it?
Oh, well, yeah. It's our second time taking it out, and we're super excited. Yeah, I'm a Ford F-250 guy, so for sure.
Wow. That's my next truck.
Oh, yeah. What are you driving right now?
I drive a 1500, a Ram, but that's my next one will be a F-250.
Yeah. I got a slightly older one. It's a 2011, but I got a smoking good deal. It's an 85-year-old guy, and he has 50,000.
Oh,
that's super cool. Mountains or the beach for vacation?
Ooh, I do Bahamas trips. Yeah, I do Bahamas trips, and so we get on a boat and we cross the ocean on my buddy's center console and go to the Bahamas. So I would probably have to say the Bahamas beach because we use spearfishing and all that stuff. It's tough though.
I was saying it's tough to live in Florida though because every vacation is the beach. But last weekend he has a yacht. And he asked me, he's like, hey, do you want to come down? We'll go. He lives in Fort Lauderdale. We'll jump on the yacht. We'll go to the Keys for the weekend. I was like, yeah, when? What, tomorrow? And so happening soon. So it's like, yeah, that's a nice vacation.
That's legit.
We have that
here's the deal breaker. You guys better answer carefully before our friendship could be on the line. Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
I'd go Coke.
Coke.
Okay. We're still good. There's
not even a question there.
Okay, good. I mean, friendships are destroyed over that question.
For sure.
If you drink, and we respect if you don't, but if you drink, what's your poison of choice?
Miller Lite.
Yeah, he's a Miller Lite. I could tell you Brett's Miller Lite without a doubt. I like all pretty much. I will drink red wine. I like beer. I'll drink a light beer. I also like IPAs. Jack and water is a staple. I'll drink Jack and water. So,
what's your favorite wine? You prefer white or red?
I prefer red.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. Well, I think we can all be friends afterwards.
I'm looking forward to coming to San Antonio.
Come on down, for sure. No, we'd love to have you guys. But I tell people all the time, I prefer Coke. Sometimes it's a little strong, so I got to water it down with some Crown.
Yes.
But, Scotch, is definitely my go-to, and red wine. I love, a nice cab, full body. I like blends. I was in South Africa last year, and man, they got some awesome wines.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, South African wines for sure. Well, anyways, thank you so much. I'm super appreciative. I hope that we brought value to you guys, and I'll set up. Yeah, I'd be honored to be on the podcast with you guys whenever Brett sends me an email and we'll coordinate it.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for being here. And I'll see you guys. You guys have a great one. Take care. We'll see y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Bye-bye.